Good morning. Today, we will be discussing our first reconnaissance mission, the Ranger Team Area Reconnaissance. We refer to it this way because it is an area reconnaissance conducted at the team level and is based on the program of instruction at U.S. Army Ranger School. Incidentally, an area reconnaissance does not look like this. It looks more like this, while listening to your buddy tell you that his nods just stopped working and his iPro is fogged. However, in C Troop, our iPro never fogs and our nods always work, and so these won't be problems. The Ranger Team Area Reconnaissance task organizes the team into 4 elements. These elements are ORP Security, composed of the ATL and ARTO, Security and Observation, or SNO, composed of the SAW Gunner and the RTO, and 2 Reconnaissance and Surveillance teams, called RNS teams. RNS-1 is composed of the team leader and 1 SO. RNS-2 is composed of the SSO and 1 SO. The S&O team and RNS teams together are collectively referred to as the Reconnaissance Party, or Recon Party. This task organization provides each unit with dismounted FM radio capabilities and provides the ORP with long-range HF capabilities to report PIR in real time as necessary. As we have stated, the definition of an area reconnaissance is this. Area reconnaissance is a form of reconnaissance that focuses on obtaining detailed information about the terrain or enemy activity in a prescribed area. Essentially, our unit is tasked to determine what is occurring at a location, and we choose to adopt a Ranger Team Area Reconnaissance disposition to accomplish our mission. The choice to use a Ranger Team Area Reconnaissance is driven by multiple factors, primarily involving the time available to the team and the nature of the objective. The Ranger Area Reconnaissance is best used for objectives that are short duration, in which the LTIOV is less than 12 hours from gaining visual observation, due to the capability that multiple RNS teams used increase the speed of information collection. They're also best used when the risk of compromise is high, as a deliberate S&O position with direct fire control plan increases the team's lethality. Finally, they're best used for complex objectives because mobile RNS teams can work a variety of angles and OPs to ensure full observation. Avoid using a Ranger Team Area Reconnaissance on objectives that are long duration, in which LTIOV is more than 12 hours from gaining visual observation, as there is no deliberate rest plan available. Also, avoid using a Ranger Team Area Reconnaissance on very large objectives, as all personnel must return to the ORP prior to onward movement. With that, we'll begin the conduct of the Area Reconnaissance. This brings us to our first board. On the right is an image of the elements conducting a reconnaissance of an NAI. On the left are the administrative notes, including the primary tasks of an area reconnaissance and the steps of an area reconnaissance, beginning from the team ORP. The board begins with the entire team consolidated in the team ORP. The team leader directs the recon party to begin MWE prep. MWE stands for Men, Weapons, and Equipment. 2 men at a time can conduct MWE. The easiest way to manage this is to conduct MWE as task-organized teams. That is, the S&O team conducts MWE, then RNS-1, then RNS-2. Deliberate MWE is a process that should take no more than 15 minutes, the standard being that the team leader should be able to deploy the recon party from the team ORP 20 minutes after occupying the ORP. This leaves 5 minutes for 5-point contingency plans. The team now emplaces their rucksacks in the Ruck Plan, camouflaged and within sight of the ORP position. The team emplaces their rucks in task-organized order. That is, RNS-1 positions their rucks with the ruck flaps touching, ruck frame down, then S&O does the same, then RNS-2, and then the ORP security men. As they emplace their rucks, they remove the items that they will need for the objective and that will be used in MWE prep. The team then begins MWE. The following standards apply to men. Start with the head and work down. Each man camouflages their helmet by placing foliage inside their helmet band. This helps break up the outline of the helmet. However, the foliage should not extend higher than 6 inches from the top of the helmet. Men must camouflage all exposed skin, including the neck and ears. Unless the man wears gloves, he camouflages his hands as well. Any man who wears gloves must keep them on the entire time. Each man must conceal all metal parts on his flick, taps, or plate carrier. Do this by using a camo stick or black tape to cover anything shiny. Also, ensure equipment on your kit does not make any noise. If the magazines make noise when a scout shakes the ammo pouch, the man puts tape on them or places MRE cardboard or pieces of foliage between it to help silence the magazines. Magazines should be full and re-indexed. Indexing magazines refers to organizing your magazines in the order that you will pull them from your kit. Full magazines first, partially full magazines last. At any given moment, all magazines should be completely full or completely empty, with only a single magazine partially full. If you have two partially full magazines, consolidate the rounds into one magazine to the greatest extent possible until you have only one magazine partially full and all others completely full or completely empty. That said, if all has gone according to plan up to this point, all magazines should be full. To check if a magazine is full, the leader can push down on the rounds with his index finger. If his finger goes farther than the first knuckle into the magazine is holding less than 30 rounds. Each man must top off his hydration pack and check his 1-quart canteens to ensure they're full. If a man's canteen is not full, the man fills it up from the 2-quart in his rucksack. Partially full canteens are either filled from the carried 2-quart, or if there is no water remaining in the 2-quart, the soldier drinks the remaining water in his 1-quart so that it makes no noise during movement. Then each man ensures that he has fresh foliage placed in his FLC, taps, or plate carrier to break up the outline of his body. This completes the M, or man, phase of MWE. For weapons, we'll begin with M4 and then address 249. For the M4, if there are any shiny parts on the weapon, use a camouflage stick, black tape, or black marker to subdue them. Check the handguards to ensure they don't rattle. If they do, tape them to help silence them. Remember when taping to be sure the tape does not interfere with the aiming or function of the weapon. Next, check the magazine to see that it is full, as explained earlier, and check the chamber to see if there is a round present. To check the chamber, place your hand under the magazine well and let your fingers cover the ejection port cover. This does two things. First, it will keep the cover from slapping the side of the weapon, and second, it will keep the round from falling onto the ground in the event that you pull the charging handle too far to the rear. Next, with your other hand, pull the charging handle to the rear just far enough to observe a round in the chamber. Then, slowly ease the charging handle back to the front and silently tap the forward assist, ensuring that the round is fully seated in the chamber. Also, while you are checking to see if there is a round in the chamber, you should also check to make sure the weapon is properly lubricated. Place the magazine back into the weapon and ensure it is seated properly by pushing the forward assist 3 times. Then make sure the weapon is still safe. For the M249 saw, check for the shiny areas and correct the deficiencies using a camouflage stick, black tape, or black marker. If there are any pieces rattling, you can tape it down, or, if the heat shield is rattling, remove it and place it in your rucksack and ensure it is tied down. Next, ensure the bolt is locked to the rear and the weapon is on safe. Then, place your left hand on the belt of ammo to control the rounds, raise the feed tray cover, and remove the rounds from the feed tray. Then, raise the feed tray and inspect the inside of the chamber and receiver for any brass, links, vegetation, or debris. Also ensure that the feeder paws in the feed tray are moving freely. Make sure that the M249 is properly lubricated as well. Check the rounds to make sure that they are clean and free from dirt, rust, or debris. Ensure that a full drum is loaded onto the weapon and that the rounds have been seated properly to the rear of the feed tray. Once this is done, tilt the weapon to the right and slowly close the feed tray cover until the feed tray cover locks into place. Again, check that the weapon is on safe. The additional saw drums should be in bandoliers or in the saw pouches. The most important weapon in this reconnaissance is the M249. Proper MWE will ensure that it can function properly and protect an RNS team breaking contact. With that said, ensure that the lead team automatic rifleman takes on his full combat load onto the objective. For equipment, use the acronym RBNS, also a loose acronym for Ranger Battalions. For the radios, for all FM radios, the soldiers carrying them must ensure that each radio has an extra battery and the radio and antenna are tied down properly. Prior to leaving the ORP, each scout carrying a radio adjusts the volume knob and conducts a radio check so that the team knows that all radios are working and are on the right frequency. The ATL and RTO will maintain their ASIPs, while the TL and SSO, which will be moving around the objective, maintain their MBITR or PRC 152, much smaller, radios. For binoculars, check that the objective lens is taped. This reduces the chance of glare from giving away, and reducing the chance of glare reduces the chance of the position being detected. The objective lens should not be taped so that it does not allow light to enter the lens and impedes the binocular's function. Also, only take binos if the mission is taking place in good visibility, or if the objective is independently lit. For nods, each man attaches their nods to their helmet mount and adjusts them. Then each man places their hand over the objective lens in order to not burn out the reticle and turns the NVG on to ensure there's a green glow and that the device works. Each man should rotate the on switch to IR and see the IR indicator light illuminate. Store an extra waterproof battery or batteries in your kit. If you are operating good visibility with several hours before the sun will set, at the team leader's discretion, nods can be stored in the night vision pouch on a soldier's kit. For sensors, each soldier will be responsible for a different sensor. Depending on the mission, the team leader will distribute these optics as he sees fit. Ensure that your sensor or sensors are tied down appropriately. Carry an extra set of batteries onto the objective and check the function of your sensor. Finally, regardless of mission, all team members must have note-taking material that is waterproofed. This is critical for all reconnaissance operations. Once he has completed MWE, the team leader will give 3 5-point contingency plans. The first is from the team leader to the ATL and covers the interval that the ATL remain in the ORP with the ARTO while the recon party conducts reconnaissance of the NAI. The second is from the TL to the RTO for the interval that the RNS teams are conducting reconnaissance while SNO pulls security over the objective. The third and final 5-point is from the TL to the SSO for the interval that the TL and SSO are separated. The TL leading RNS1, the SSO leading RNS2. For more information on 5-point contingency plans, see the lesson on how to occupy the ORP. That said, these 5 points will by necessity include actions on compromise. While in the mission sequence, the compromise plan will be briefed at this time. For the sake of clarity, I'll first explain the conduct of the mission and then circle back to explain the compromise plan. The recon party is now prepared to depart the ORP. In a perfect world, the team had placed claymores around the ORP when they first occupied the ORP. However, if these claymores need to have their positions adjusted or need to be emplaced, this is the last feasible time. After this is done, the recon party is counted out by the ATL. The ATL and ARTO then assume the prone position, legs interlocked, utilizing tap code. They maintain communication with higher and with the team. If they need to employ HF capabilities, they should situate themselves in a position with maximum concealment. The recon party moves towards the objective in file. Once the SSO identifies the release point, he halts. The recon party then conducts seals and then pinpoints. The team leader confirms that the release point meets his criteria. That is, that the release point has all the characteristics of an ORP and can be easily located at night. Once the release point is occupied, the team leader and SSO move towards the objective and identify and confirm that this is the correct objective. They then identify a good SNO position. The position should provide the SNO team with cover and concealment and still enable them to observe the objective and obtain accurate PIR. The team leader wants a position far enough away from the objective so that there is a lower chance of any enemy counter-recon patrols compromising the SNO team's position, but close enough to be able to employ all weapon systems at that position. Once the SNO position is identified, the team leader and the SSO move to that position so that they will see what the SNO team will see. From this position, they identify the following: the reconnaissance objective, vantage points or OP positions, TRPs or target reference points, and the limited advance or LOA. The reconnaissance objective is simple. If the NAI outlines a built-up area or an enemy camp, then the area is where the enemy is located, or that area is the reconnaissance objective. Vantage points, or OPs, are the positions from which the team can best observe the NAI. As the team leader and SSO identify these positions, they annotate their positions and assign each OP or vantage point a TRP. This is called the direct fire plan, and there's a simple way to build it that avoids confusion and ensures that there will be no fratricide. The objective should be split in half. RNS1 will get one side, RNS2 will get the other. The reason that the team leader and SSO originally occupy the SNO position is to build this plan and build a common understanding of the objective, as the team leader and SSO will be assigned to either team, the team leader taking RNS1, the SSO taking RNS2. Once there's a side assigned to RNS1, that side uses all odd numbers. The side assigned to RNS2 will use all even numbers. In this example, the left side of the objective belongs to RNS1, the right side belongs to RNS2. This is a step that should be rehearsed by the leaders to expedite building their direct fire plan. As the team leader and SSO identify OPs and associated TRPs, they associate them by number. For example, OP1 has an associated TRP1. This means that as RNS1 moves to OP1 to occupy the position, they can radio the SNO and inform them that they are going to occupy OP1. SNO then can radio RNS1 to confirm that they have shifted fire to TRP1. TRP1, in turn, is positioned such that if the saw gunner had to open fire, by keeping his fire to the inside of TRP1, he would maintain a 15-degree offset from the RNS1 team occupying OP1. This is a robust direct fire plan that prevents fratricide and is one of the reasons that this reconnaissance is well suited to well-guarded or heavily patrolled areas. The limit of advance is also identified. This is a line past which the reconnaissance teams will no longer cloverleaf. If they reach the LOA, they will return to the RP, having exhausted the advantages of their side of the NAI. The team leader and SSO gather as much PIR from this initial position as possible. If they are able to gather all PIR necessary, the mission is a success. The recon party links up at the RP, the team links up at the ORP, and the entire team reports the PIR and withdraws. More likely than not, this will not occur. In this case, the team leader and SSO move back to the halt. They then instruct the SNO team to follow them. The team leader can choose to bring the security men along, or he can leave them with a 5-point contingency plan while he emplaces SNO. The team leader and SSO lead the SNO team to the objective. They brief SNO on the objective, the TRPs, OP positions, and LOA. They also confirm that SNO is tracking engagement priority in accordance with the available targets. The team leader and SSO emplace the SNO in the SNO position. The saw gunner should face the objective, the RTO should face away from the objective. The two men should be in the prone, legs interlocked, utilizing tap code. At the team leader's discretion, he may orient both men towards the objective, but he must understand that he is sacrificing security to the 6 o'clock. The team leader informs the SSO that the second 5-point he gave in the RP, that covers the interval that the SSO is emplaced and that the RNS teams conduct reconnaissance, is now in effect. The team leader and SSO then return to the release point. They pair up with their respective security men, the two SOs, at the release point. The team leader informs the SSO that the third 5-point is in effect. This is a 5-point plan that covers the interval that the RNS teams are separate and reconnoitering the objective. The RNS teams depart the release point to gather PIR in salute format. The RNS teams should also produce a military sketch of the objective if directed to do so by the team leader. Additionally, it is critical to keep the following in mind during the conduct of the reconnaissance. First, to cloverleaf. The RNS teams bounce back and away from the objective as they move from vantage point to vantage point. Second, to use maximum stealth. Scouts use the appropriate IMT, or individual movement techniques, for the terrain and vegetation. If we high crawl into a position, we need to high crawl back out. This is critical if reconnoitering a site that has vehicles that are actively scanning using their optics. Enemy optics, especially thermal optics on tanks or armored fighting vehicles, can pick out the movement of a dismounted scout at ranges in excess of 4 kilometers. Utilize defilade and microterrain to disguise your movement. If at all possible, put dirt between yourself and the enemy optic during your movement. This will require the greatest amount of patience and individual soldier discipline. It also saves lives. Use cover and concealment. Scouts use all available cover and concealment to prevent the enemy from detecting their movement. This also serves to assist in the event that we get compromised. Additionally, never parallel the objective. Move around the objective, never moving parallel to it, in order to avoid detection by enemy forces. Finally, scouts utilize standoff. Scouts want to use maximum standoff range from the objective to prevent detection. Use your optics to assist in gathering PIR from an extended distance. Offset is your friend, especially when you are carrying an M4 and you are reconnoitering an objective that is crew-served, belt-fed weapons. As each RNS team approaches its next vantage point, they conduct a radio check with the SNO position to ensure it is safe to approach the objective and gather PIR. This prevents an RNS team from being surprised by a drastic change in the situation on the objective, such as the presence of a larger enemy since the last time the RNS team had eyes on the objective. As the RNS team occupies its vantage point, or OP, the RNS team leader faces towards the objective, his security man faces away from the objective, with their feet interlocked to utilize the tap code and provide 360-degree security. When the RNS team leader has determined that he has collected all the PIR he has, the security man faces towards the objective, and while maintaining noise and light discipline, confirms what the team leader has gathered. The RNS team then moves to the next vantage point. The RNS teams continue to reconnoiter their side of the objective until they reach their displacement criteria. This is one of 4 triggers. First, all the PIR is gathered. Second, they reach the LOA, or limit of advance. Third, they run out of time, or LTIOV is reached. Or fourth, the team is compromised. We will address the compromise plan at the end of this presentation. In the case of PIR being gathered, the team reaching the LOA, or the team running out of time, the RNS teams rendezvous at the release point. The SNO remains in place. If the team has run out of time, the team leader and SSO retrieve the SNO team, and the entire recon party returns to the ORP. In the case that the teams reached the LOA, or had gathered all PIR, they compare the PIR that they have gathered in the release point. If there are major differences in the PIR, and the team leader has time remaining to conduct the recon of the objective, the RNS team leaders flip-flop sides. One example of a major discrepancy is that the team leader sees 3 trucks, and the SSO sees none. To save time in moving into vantage points, the team leader and SSO change security men when they move to recon the opposite sides of the objective. The reason that they do this is that the security man has already been to the vantage points on that side of the objective and can lead the RNS team leader to each vantage point. This security man already knows the route to that vantage point, or OP. They continue the reconnaissance until meeting one of the same triggers already briefed. If there are no major discrepancies, the team leader extracts the SNO team. He can do this via radio or by physically moving up to the SNO position to retrieve the SNO team. Regardless of the method of retrieval, the team leader confirms the PIR that the SNO gathered from their position. If there are major discrepancies, the team leader can move back up to the SNO position with the saw gunner and observe the NAI. Regardless of the decision, it is here at the release point that the team leader will make a final call on what was or was not present on the objective. Once this is decided, the team leader radios the ATL at the ORP that the recon party is returning. This is the FAR recognition signal. The ATL and ARTO move into the short halt posture to be more readily identifiable by the returning team. The SSO then leads the recon party back to the ORP. The SSO exchanges the near recognition signal with the ATL and ARTO, and the ATL counts the recon party back into the ORP. The team re-enters the ORP and conducts seals in place in their former ORP positions. The team leader now decides if the ORP is safe for dissemination of information, or if the team needs to displace to another location prior to dissemination. In either case, he first attempts to report PIR via FM to his higher echelon. If this is not possible, the team must move to a position where they can re-establish comms. When the team occupies their next halt position, or at the RP if the team leader judged it safe and they have radio contact, information is reported to the platoon leader and then disseminated to the team. If the team leader opts for security halt ORP, the team remains in the standard long halt posture, while the team leader, SSO, and RTO go to the center to confirm PIR prior to transmission. If the team leader opted for a zipper halt ORP, the team rucks back up and emplaces in the zipper halt long halt posture. The team leader can now make a decision. If information has already been reported to the PL, the team can displace for change of mission. If not, the team must re-establish communications with higher and report. Even after moving, if the team cannot re-establish radio contact with the platoon leader, the team leader disseminates all information gathered to the team in salute format, and each member physically carries a copy of the military sketch and the salute report. This is time-consuming, but if the team cannot report due to electronic jamming of comms, or due to the HQ element being out of comms or killed, this analog format for PIR delivery can be physically delivered to higher echelons by following the no comms plan. At this point, the team leader leads the team into the next mission, or the team moves to the extraction point. This concludes the mission. In order to alleviate confusion, the compromise was not briefed earlier. It will be briefed now. In general, the compromise plan is METTC dependent and briefed in the op board. However, it will almost always follow the same pattern. In general, the team members will return to the release point and then to the ORP. No matter what happens, the team must return to the ORP as the rucksacks are placed at that position, and it is a universally known position. Only in absolutely abysmal situations will the team not return to the ORP. For instance, if a tank platoon has occupied their ORP and killed the ORP security. For this reason, it is critical to select a good ORP position that will not be compromised. Again, it is critical to the team's survival that the ORP is not compromised. There are 3 situations in the rest of the mission that compromise can occur. First, during the recon party's movement to the release point. If on this movement the recon party takes contact, the 6-man recon party will react to contact and withdraw to the ORP. If the ORP is compromised during the recon party's movement, the ORP should fight in place. The recon party will return to the ORP and enter on the non-firing side. The second situation is that one or both parties take contact during the recon of the S&O position and emplacement of the S&O. If the recon party takes contact, the recon party will break contact to the release point. If the release point takes contact, they'll remain in place until the S&O element, team leader, and SSO can get to their position, enter on the non-firing side, and then as an element, break contact to the ORP together. If the ORP takes contact, they will fight in place until the recon party can return to their position. In the third situation, one of the elements of the team is compromised during the recon of the objective by the RNS teams. If an RNS team is compromised, the S&O team immediately begins firing at the enemy. They'll do so in accordance with the engagement priority given by the team leader. Of note, the S&O team needs to be aware that the enemy may attempt to recon by fire. That is, the enemy may fire at likely positions in order to elicit a response from the reconnaissance team. In this case, the S&O team should not engage. However, if they see two-way gunfire, that is, gunfire from the enemy and then corresponding gunfire from the RNS team, they should immediately begin engaging enemy targets. Once this occurs, both RNS teams break contact back to the release point. The non-compromised RNS team will do so without firing a shot. The saw gunner should fire an entire drum at a rapid rate of fire into the objective, then reload while the RTO fires suppressing fire. The RNS teams should have broken contact with by this point, allowing the S&O to withdraw. The team leader can employ pre-planned indirect fires at this point. The second instance of contact that can occur during the recon of the objective by the RNS teams is if the S&O is compromised. In this case, they will fight in place while the RNS teams move to their position to support in breaking contact. The recon party then withdraws to the ORP. If the ORP takes contact, they fight in place utilizing their claymores. The recon party rapidly withdraws and moves to the ORP, and the team displaces. It is critical to prioritize speed in this case, as the enemy not only has soldiers at the ORP, but will be sending reinforcements. In effect, the recon party is racing the enemy reinforcements to the ORP. This is also why the platoon does laps on the obstacle course, incidentally. This concludes the compromise plan. This is a long brief, the longest in fact that we've done to this point. However, it is critical to understand this mission in detail so that one day you can lead one. Additionally, if you have ambitions for U.S. Army Ranger School, this is a near parallel conduct of the Ranger School Reconnaissance, adjusted for an 8-man team instead of a 12 to 16-man Darby Squad. In conclusion, this brief has addressed the purpose of an area reconnaissance, the task organization of a Ranger Team area reconnaissance, determining when to use a Ranger Team area reconnaissance, an in-depth explanation of deliberate MWE, the location of the distal interphalangeal joint, the conduct of a Ranger Team area reconnaissance, direct fire control of a Ranger Team area reconnaissance, and the compromise plan. The following resources were used in preparing this presentation. Send any questions or comments to charlietrooptactics@outlook.com.